What's up, everyone? Alex here with the Whiskey Shelf. Thank you for joining me again for another companion review of a bourbon that I found in Japan and I'm now reviewing for you. So, in this review, we have Wild Turkey 8-Year 101. So, this is really simply put the 8-year version of Wild Turkey 101 that you find in the US for $20-ish. But, because it's Japan for whatever reason, they get not only the non-age stated version 101, they also get the 8-year-old version. In this case, I bought a 200 milliliter flask and have been drinking from that, reviewing it with this. So, gonna be honest with you, Wild Turkey 101 non-age stated is okay. It's fine. It just, for me, tastes really underdeveloped, very grainy, kind of bland is not the word, but it's just not that interesting. So, just something. I'm personally Team Evan Williams bottled in bond. Everyone has their own opinion. Leave your comment below if you want. But no, again, just my personal opinion. But with this Japanese exclusive release of Wild Turkey, I'm very curious if the 8-year age statement will help bring back some of the magic that Wild Turkey has. Where Wild Turkey Rare Breed's great. Russell Reserve single barrel bourbon's really good. And so, Wild Turkey 101 is kind of like it's kind of a bummer that it's not as good as I wished it would be. Last thing I will mention, I think the full 700 or 750 milliliter bottles tend to run $25 to $32. So, at least in Japan compared to the non-age stated version, you pay about $5 or $6 more. Now, if you do it from the U.S. to how much it costs here, it's probably a slightly bigger jump. But again, people in Japan are paying Japanese prices, and so sometimes it's hard to compare, what someone pays in America versus what they pay here for something different. But either way, let's find out how this smells, how this tastes, and then I'll give you a score at the end. So here we go. I'm gonna let you see this bottle one more time. This is the flask version, Wild Turkey 101 8-year. And as always, here's the back with the Japanese. That's always a little fun little thing to see. Let me get a little closer. Hopefully you can see that. All right, let's get to this whiskey. Got it in the glass, letting it air. Actually, it's been a while, but it'll be fine. Here we go. Cheers. Right off the bat, this is a very oaky, very roasty, very dry bourbon. So we're talking a lot of roasted oak, dry grass, some of that, the Wild Turkey nuttiness up front. And I'll give it another smell. Yeah, a lot of that, roasted oak, dry grass, nuttiness. Then there's really dry caramel, very dry apple and orange. Maybe a little bit of licorice and fennel, because there's 13% rye in the mash. Toasted caramel, and that's more or less it. The heat's not bad. For 101 proof, very calm. It's still 8 years old, so it has some maturity. So nothing bad. Going to give it another smell. Yeah, again, a lot of this time it's a slightly harsh, but it's still fragrant, roasted oak, dry grass, dry nuts, dry caramel, toasted vanilla. But now I get a little bit more of the apple, the dried apple, the orange. So it becomes a little more fruity. I get a little more of the herbal licorice and fennel as well, cinnamon, coffee grounds. But really at the end of the day, that's really it. It smells nice. It smells far better than the regular Wild Turkey 101 that you get in the United States. But I wouldn't say this is like a truly amazing set of scents, but it's good. Let's get to the flavors. Cheers. Just like the scents, very roasty front. A lot of roasted oak, coffee grounds, dry grass, some of that nuttiness up front, then toasted caramel, toasted vanilla, a really dry apple, really dry orange, a little bit of licorice, a little bit of fennel, cinnamon, nutmeg, and that alcohol. And really, even that first sip, it's not, I wouldn't say it's really complex with a huge array of various traits. It's definitely very narrowly focused on it. Really focus on the oakiness up front and the spice, some sweetness, some fruitiness, a little bit of herbalness, and that's really it. But again, the bite's not bad, and I'm enjoying it, so I'm going to get another sip. Very much the same experience. Very flavorful, decently rich. The roastiness, then the toasted caramel, toasted vanilla, dried apple, dried orange, licorice, fennel, cinnamon, nutmeg. Some more of that coffee ground in there this time, but for the most part, it really covers the whole range of flavors. It's really narrowly focused, I think, which you might expect from Wild Turkey 101, and one that's still sub $30-$35. But in terms of the overall flavor, it presents itself well. It definitely tastes more mature. It definitely has a little bit more of a rougher side. There's a little bit more bite, a little bit more roughness around the edges because of that oak and that dryness, but drastic improvement over Wild Turkey 101. So, to the rating, I give Wild Turkey 101 8-year, which is a Japan-only release, 77 points out of 100, also known as Mid-Shelf Plus. Again, I'll leave the rating scale below in the description to provide more details on what that means, but quick version, it means that I think it's a good bourbon. It doesn't quite hit top shelf, meaning it's what I would call a great bourbon. Mid-Shelf Plus, meaning it definitely has some noticeable flaws or kind of some shortcomings, but once you get into Mid-Shelf Plus territory, there's a lot more good than bad. There's some more noteworthy qualities, but nothing that necessarily really takes it to the next level, makes it really great. And it's something, if you read more of my reviews, you kind of get a better sense of what I think is great and what's not. So definitely encourage you to go check out the blog, www.thewhiskeyshelf.com, to just get a better sense of what I like, what I don't like. But anyways, back to this bottle. So Wild Turkey 8-year 101 bourbon is a drastic improvement over normal Wild Turkey 101. Is that extra age statement, so meaning everything's at least 8 years old, potentially could be older, whereas the Wild Turkey in the United States, probably at least 4 to 6 years. There's just so much more here. There's more roastiness, more oak, more cinnamon, clove, nutmeg. There's also just a lot more sugar, more caramel, more vanilla. And this is, an extra bump up in the fruit and that herbal quality. And so it just makes this so much more enjoyable to drink. Sure, you'll pay more. Sometimes you gotta pay for higher quality. In this case, you're paying a little bit more, and you're getting such a much better bourbon. So I really think it's worth it. In terms of personality, kind of some of the rough and tumble nature makes this more like Wild Turkey Rare Breed than a Russell's Reserve single barrel bourbon. The single barrel bourbon, at least in my experience, more refined, a little bit more emphasis on herbalness, fruitiness, and less on like the oak and the heft and the brute, and like a little bit of the brute force. Whereas Rare Breed's more rough and tumble, like I've said a couple times, but very good in their own ways. So, kind of think of this as like a baby Wild Turkey Rare Breed. There's also a lot of Wild Turkey Rare Breed in Japan too. Hopefully we'll get around to buying one, hopefully an old one. But we'll see. But that's for another time in another video. So overall, if you are in Japan, this is a great everyday sipper that probably won't annihilate your bank account like Japanese whiskey and scotch are doing for what I'm seeing in stores. So this is probably, I'll stock on my bar more often once I get through all the bottles I already have, and then I'm reviewing and doing videos. And for those who are going to come visit from Japan, if you're here for more than a week or two, buy a bottle, enjoy it. It'll be really nice. Take one back, if you want, or you can buy blends or any number of other Japan-only exclusives or things that are easier to find in Japan. But while you're in Japan, drink it, enjoy it, have a great time. It's honestly something worth drinking, buying, and keeping around for you while you travel. So I'll leave it at that again. This is a Mid-Shelf Plus bourbon, 77 points out of 100. You have the rating scale below. And I'll end the review with that. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it as always. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube. So click the subscribe button and the bell. You can also follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to check out the blog at www.thewhiskeyshelf.com. I will link the written review for Wild Turkey 8-year 101 in the link below. And last but not least, if you're ever so inclined to support me on Patreon, that would be amazing. All this takes time and money and effort. And any support you can provide would be amazing. If you don't, that's totally cool too. You watched the video, and I'm very glad that you did. I really hope you got something out of this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you found this interesting. And with that said, again, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll come back and watch more videos from the whiskey shelf. Thank you so much. Have a good one. See ya.